What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Avengers Infinity War and Phase 4 video. So, not long until Avengers Infinity War is coming out, and really, we've had some interesting news. So there will be spoilers possibly for Infinity War and the upcoming Phase 4. So if you're new to the channel, please do consider leaving a like down below and subscribing as well. So we have got some interesting news from a lot of interviews with the Russo brothers right now, and in the coming days we will have even more information as the film will be out, and it's also being screened as I record this right now to people in America. Oh, I wish I was seeing that right now. But we have information that one of the biggest characters in the Infinity War mythos is not actually in the movie. So Lady Death will not feature in Avengers Infinity War, and the Russo brothers have mentioned that this is due to the fact that they want to keep things grounded a bit, and they just want to take the spirit of the comics. So this isn't really much of a surprise, to be honest. It would have been nice, but I think that if you're going to build up the fact that Thanos wanted to gain the Infinity Gauntlet and cause all these problems just so he can impress the embodiment of death, who happens to be female, well, that is pretty much a weak story. And I think that in the modern day, with the sort of feminism and things like that, it would be a real weak storyline, would be really attacked as well. I prefer the idea that Thanos was a genius and wanted to save his planet from extinction by wiping out half of the people on his planet, but he failed, and now he is going to do it to the entire universe. So it needs to be balanced, and this comes from the comic books, where Mistress Death wanted half of the entirety of the universe to be killed to balance it, and Thanos went about this way by finding the Infinity Stones, and he got those, and the rest is history. So it's a shame that this isn't in the movie. A lot of us were thinking that maybe this would be replaced. Mistress Death would actually be Hela, and it's kind of weird that with all the things going on with Hela on Asgard, Sanctuary 2 was presumably on its way to Asgard to get the Tesseract, and Hela was there as well, considering the fact that Hela and Thanos now in the comics are sort of, kind of an item. So that's a real shame that that didn't actually happen. Another thing which is sadly not going to happen is the fact that the Netflix characters will not be in the movie. So the Russo brothers said that it probably won't happen for a very long time, or if at all, but don't rule it out. Now, I do think it's a shame that a lot of these characters are relegated. Now, while this is a cosmic threat, I think the idea of having someone like Luke Cage or Iron Fist would be a bit odd in the way that they haven't been involved in any of these movies to build up their level of powers and kind of threat. But having them in the movie would be great, at least when we see New York being attacked by the Black Order and the Sanctum Sanctorum being attacked. Well, I think that seeing those in the background or possibly be involved would be really, really good, and that's how I would do it. I would just have it as a blink and you'll miss it cameo as they're helping people in Harlem and Hell's Kitchen. But that is not going to happen in this movie whatsoever, which again is a bit of a shame. Now, another thing is the fact that alternate dimensions are not being involved. Now, this is something I'm actually quite glad about. Now, alternate dimensions are always a bit of a cop-out, and really I thought that the mirror dimension would be involved, and I did have a theory about that, but the fact that we won't be having alternate dimensions, that gives us a bit of a cop-out, and the directors want the idea that someone could die to stay permanent, and the threat is always there. And if you go into other dimensions, this is just a real problem moving forward with having dimensions, and it always opens up a huge can of worms of where does this go. The same with time travel. Time travel is always a big problem in media, especially in things like The Flash, where you can just go back in time, fix it, go back in time, fix it. Same with the Legends of Tomorrow as well. And while that is sometimes a bad thing, the idea of time travel in Marvel actually works very well, especially in the cinematic universe with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where this season we have just had time travel in the way that it was used using a monolith, a Kree monolith, which can be used to go to different dimensions and also transport across galaxies. So having that would quite work. So time travel could work. They never really mentioned explicitly time travel, especially with the fact that in Avengers 4, we are going back to the events of the Battle of New York from the original 2012 Avengers movie. So we may have time travel, but alternate dimensions just won't fit just yet. Now, of course, Captain Marvel with the negative bands and the nega bands, how will that work if they're going to not be introducing different dimensions? I'm not too sure. Maybe they just won't be involving that kind of part of the original Marvel story, because Jude Law is playing Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, but the original Captain Marvel is Shazam, from the Shazam movie, Captain Marvel. But that is that. Now, one thing I find a real shame is the fact that the Fantastic Four deal won't really happen for quite a while. So in Phase 4, we were hoping with the Fox-Disney merger that this would happen. However, the problem is with Phase 4, and they've said that they will announce Phase 4 movies around this time next year, which would quite fit in because this would be when Avengers 4 has aired or kind of been in cinema screens, and they can start moving forward with Phase 4, and they will possibly do another event like they did in 2014 when they announced a slate way ahead. And I remember thinking that 2018 was super far away then, but the fact, and 2019 as well. However, they will be doing that. It won't be quite a while until Phase 4 is announced, and considering that 2019 is the latest that or kind of the earliest that the Fox-Disney deal will actually go ahead, and that a handful of years after that, the Russo brothers said, will be when anything, or Kevin Feige, said that anything to do with the Fantastic Four will actually be involved. So possibly, it may not even be until Phase 5 that we see any of the Fox characters coming into the MCU. However, we have had conflicting reports and rumours that people like the X-Men are being rushed into production, and Dark Phoenix will be the last Fox movie of the X-Men as a whole, and it's being pushed to be in Avengers 4 at the end. But I'm not sure how much I really do believe that. Now, what is really cool is that Kevin Feige has also mentioned that Nova is a movie or a property that they are actually looking into. Nova being Richard Rider, who was given powers by the last living Nova Corps member, who is actually in Guardians of the Galaxy, played by John C. Reilly. So, having Nova would be a great addition to this. Now, let's not forget that Phase 4 is reportedly going to be more on the cosmic scale, involving James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and they're involving a lot more of this, which makes sense because once you introduce Thanos and things like that, well, Earth is opened up to the rest of the universe, and I can certainly see them opening up the cosmic scale. Now, the Russo brothers will be directing more MCU movies. I did kind of expect the James Gunn to take their role of being an architect, but I'm not sure where that will go next. But James Gunn's kind of cosmic world would fit in very well with Nova. So Nova being involved would work out quite well because Xandar is predicted to be destroyed in this movie Avengers Infinity War. So if it's actually destroyed, we could see the last surviving member, who could be John C. Reilly's character, arrive on Earth, possibly to warn of events, or he could land somewhere and give the power, or kind of give the kind of Nova powers to Richard Rider on Earth, and that's how that is done. Now, there is the Sam Alexander version of Nova, which a lot of people do love. Personally, I do love him in the comics right now in Champions, which is a fantastic kind of comic, which I really highly recommend picking up if you're interested in Kamala Khan as well. Another person who could be involved, but she's an Inhuman, and Inhumans are kind of, yeah, they're a bit of the black sheep of the MCU. Now, another one is that Moon Knight is being looked at as well. However, this was between 10 and 15 years. They were thinking that will that happen then, and we know that Moon Knight is being looked at, but I think that Moon Knight fits more in the Netflix realm. I think that having a film of Moon Knight wouldn't really work that well, and having him as a Netflix show would be a lot better. Of course, the Egyptian mythology could work in quite well if you're doing magic and things with Doctor Strange 2. That could work in. But one of the big things is that an Eternals movie is actually in development. So the Eternals were created by the Celestials to be the protectors of Earth, and the Eternals is another Jack Kirby creation. Now, that could see some direct competition with Darkseid, because Jack Kirby created pretty much all of the coolest stuff ever in both lots of comic publishers. So the Eternals, again, could be another big thing within the MCU. Now, we already have seen a Celestial in the movie. In the movies we've seen Essos the Searcher, and well, that would be quite cool to see more of the Celestials, and I expect that this will probably be a spin-off from the next Guardians of the Galaxy film. But we know we've got the next Spider-Man movie as well. Probably that's like one of the first ones to come out of Phase 4. So possibly we're looking at Nova, the Eternals, and another Spider-Man, and another Guardians of the Galaxy, and another Doctor Strange. So that's 5 movies at least in the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4. So that's probably what we're looking at right now, but expect this to change as time goes on. However, that is it for this video. Please drop a like, please subscribe. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.